Well, hello, welcome back once again to the VoV network where great things are always happening. Happy Saturday to everyone. We are live streaming here on the VoV network this morning. I'm here with the co founder, Mina. Say hello to everyone today.
Hello, everyone.
Hopefully, your weekend's off to a good start. We have a very interesting subject we want to get into today. And obviously, if you know anything about the VoV network, we generally focus on helping you have better ways to cultivate, enhance, and preserve the important relationships in your life. Today's topic is about that, but then it's also even maybe a level up, and that's when we're going to focus in a little bit more just on some life in general type skills. And Mina, how about you give 'em a little bit of background on what we're going to get into today?
So, today we'll be talking about happiness, gratitude, and a fulfillment state of mind. We wanted to really talk about those issues because they're not really issues, but that topic because it's just a good way to bring good feeling to your life and a positive way to live forward, going
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, absolutely. So, that's what we want to focus in on today because we think it, it's a needed thing, and we're going to get into some of the psychological pieces of it, and just some of the challenges that a lot of us are having, and what's happening in our world today, and many different things like that. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, welcome back. So, as we said before we went into the little break right there, today's topic, we really want to talk about gratitude, happiness, and fulfillment. And really, just from the standpoint of kind of what those things mean from a state of mind standpoint.
Hmm.
We've heard the terms. We don't need to get into a dictionary definition necessarily of what they mean. However, we might want to take some time to be able to talk about gratitude, how we go about showing or maybe changing our mindset, you know to show others that we do appreciate them and those kinds of things. So that's kind of what our discussion is going to be about today. Obviously, as we go through this, we're going to encourage everyone out there, if you have some comments, please share, because we will have an active chat session going today, and we're actually going to be showing the chat as we go through it. So I'm going to actually pull that in now, and then if you do have any comments or anything that you want to share or you want to show, please feel free to do that in the chat. So, Mina, that said, give me some background or some additional thoughts on why we wanted to talk about this today, and just maybe some of your experiences related to showing gratitude, showing appreciation, how that impacts just your general state of mind.
So first, we started off VOV before we even got into this video format. VOV started as um, you and I wanting to have a place where people can go and talk. That's how we started the website, and
Hmm.
wanted them to be able to talk to each other and to communicate about different subjects or whatever's going on in their life and everything, but it to be in a positive manner
Hmm.
and to be able to relate in that way. And well, we've morphed into where we are today, and we still
Hmm.
have our website, and it's still open to going and talking about whatever, starting a group on whatever subject you want, but that's still there.
Hmm.
But this is a way to bring about another way of living your life, and it's not really easy initially,
Yeah.
but it's just like gratitude is a way of expressing your appreciation for what you have in your life,
Hmm.
everything you have, and when you practice it, when you keep doing it, even though it may not be the best day of the week, right? You may be having a sucky day, but you keep
Yeah.
practicing your
Yeah.
gratitude. It's a good feeling, and it's a feeling that continues to grow, and you're able to do it without even thinking about it after a while.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I agree with you on that. So, and it's interesting because, and the reason we say state of mind, because that really is going to be our focus today, is understanding that yes, we know we need to show appreciation, show gratitude, and then how that transitions or impacts your general happiness, overall happiness, and sense of fulfillment
right,
in life in general, but also then of course in relationships as well, right? Um, and one of the things I wanted to bring to the table kind of early on in this is showing gratitude, showing appreciation, especially for those that are closest to you, those that really matter to you, strengthens those relationships. It actually
right,
makes the bond stronger, right?
right.
So that's one of the things we really wanted to talk or bring up is to say by you actually saying it's not, it doesn't have to be an everyday thing, but just a simple, you know what, I appreciate you.
Mhm.
You don't have to be specific as to a specific thing that you appreciate them for. It is just that general statement of letting that person know that you
Yes.
appreciate them, that they matter to you, having them
Mhm,
in your life and in whatever way that they are there is an important thing to you. Uh,
mhm.
and as Mina was just saying, what starts to happen from a psychological standpoint is the more you start to practice those tendencies, it actually becomes kind of and you don't even have to think about it. It becomes kind of muscle memory. And that's the other thing that I know we have some information we want to share today about how to start moving in that direction.
Mhm.
So you can kind of just start to train yourself essentially to truly be more in a state of mind all the time,
Yeah.
being grateful, feeling happy, those kinds of things. What else you wanna toss on top of that, Mina?
I wanna say that, even though we're unscripted today, I did some research.
Fair
Because I
enough.
I always wanna have something give them something, not
Okay,
just my thoughts because, who am I? My thoughts might be kinda out there, right?
okay.
So, I did do some research. So, I did there were 2 articles that I really focused on, and one was in Psychology Today, and the other one was in mindful.org, and in mindful.org, it really both articles specifically stated that it boosts relationships, it
Mhm.
enhances relationships, and that going through the motion, even though you might not feel like it, will trigger emotions of gratitude more often. So it's a good thing. So, like, let me give you an example. I used to be a negative Nancy, and sometimes Nancy still sneaks up on me, right?
Mhm.
At the worst of times. But um I used to be very negative. Like, the first thing I think is the worst.
The worst thing, yeah.
And, it can that angst in your belly,
Mm, mm,
can it get your life. It's not quality of life to be in that negative state. So you
right.
might just have it where it hits you at times, at bad times, at stressful times, but to be in that negative state, it just feels icky all the time.
Mm, yeah,
So, if you start practicing, because it's definitely practice, it takes practice. It can help you get to the state where you might not always go to that positive place, but you might have in the back of your mind where you consider, hey, well, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe just maybe there's something good out of this coming out of this, or what is the good?
right.
So, yes, you just got to practice.
You
But we're
do.
gonna get into more of that
You
later.
will get into more of that. So I wanna
Mhm.
follow on what you were just talking about that angst, that feeling in your stomach, right? And
Yes.
actually what it feels like is a weight. It's like you're carrying
Mhm.
around this weight that's
Yeah,
literally on you, right?
yeah,
Just, draped over your shoulders, and it
yeah.
starts to impact your disposition, your general interactions with people, your general interactions with the world.
Mhm.
And I always use this example of the person who's cutting people off in traffic and flipping everybody off and writing road rage. And so it always great. So it makes you wonder, what's really going on in their world that every little thing like that sets them off, right?
Yeah,
And what
the judges of the world too. The people
true,
that are judging everybody, they have resentment, envy, minimizing other people. And then you know what happens? you end up ruminating on those thoughts. It's
Mhm.
ruminating means like that thought is constantly that you're thinking about it, going over that thought and thinking about different angles of the thought. You're at sleep, trying to sleep at night, and you're thinking about those negative thoughts, that envy, that resentment, that whatever, and it's
Right.
just hanging around. It's just so negative, eating away at you.
Right.
We're talking about flipping that around.
Exactly, and because that's the whole point, right? If you are like literally, it's like you've eaten it and it's consuming you from the inside almost
Yeah.
because it's just there.
Mhm.
So that becomes part of your mindset. It becomes part of where your heart and how you approach different
Mhm.
things. So everything that you start to do, you're filtering it through this negative, like I said, negative Nancy. The glass is
Yes.
half empty.
Yes.
All of that, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing you don't want to do, and that's what we
Mhm.
want to talk about today is ways to start to get to the other side of that, where you can
Right.
lift that weight because it gets kind of heavy after a while,
Mhm.
and then you're wondering why some of the relationships maybe in your life you struggle with, or maybe why you're having challenges at work and other places. And we tend to, as humans, and a lot of times we always want to point the finger. It's them. It's them. It's their fault. It's the world. All these different things.
Right.
Not understanding that sometimes our behaviors,
Mhm.
right, how we approach certain things, it's kind of that whole what you put out, you get back kind of thing.
Right.
And that's why we think that, having the state of mind of being more appreciative, showing more gratitude, letting people know, because knowing it and saying it, or because that's the whole knowing it, but also taking some action. Because I
Right.
noticed some of the things that you're going to share is what are some of the action steps that you
Mhm.
can do to truly start to show and help shift your mind, your state of mind, as far as that goes. I think that's a very important piece too.
Yes,
Um,
and I wanted to say we should also consider just not in the here and now every day when we're walking around in life and working and whatever, living our life, we see this. But let's look at also social media because we get a lot of information. So if you're sitting there and you're scrolling and looking at some stuff, you know, sometimes when I scroll, I see funny stuff, some negative stuff, but it's funny, right?
right.
And it makes me laugh and I move on about my day. I don't hold on to it and ruminate over that, right?
Hmm.
But sometimes you see very negative stuff that's tearing down women, tearing down men, or tearing down people in general.
Right.
And you might even kinda agree with it or think, "Oh, this" if you're in that state of mind, right? But to continually see that stuff, it can bring you to that space, that negative space. And that was another reason why I remember when we started out with VoV, we really wanted a space for people to go to where they can have more positive interactions, not just positive, but things that move the conversation forward and not keep us stuck in this negativity and against each other about this or that, kind of
Hmm.
bringing us together. But, we still have our site, and we'll get there someday where it's up and where it's more active because it's up all the time.
Right.
But that was what the point was, and so with this right here, with this video today, it's helping people to get to that point and have these better relationships and get them to where they can consider the gratitude and the happiness, maybe getting that fulfillment
Yeah.
state of mind.
Fulfillment state of mind. So one thing I want to talk about is from a gratitude standpoint. So obviously, gratitude is one of the questions that gets asked because I think it's overlooked. A lot of people don't realize gratitude is actually an emotion.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that people don't correlate when you think about gratitude, is that the fact that it is an emotion. And so once you can really start to understand that piece of it, then now you really can start to track with why it does have the chance to be a negative thing or a positive thing, depending on
Right.
how you go about using it. Because it's
Yeah.
just like any other emotion that you have, right?
Mhm.
Happiness,
Mhm.
sadness, joy, pain, all those different things.
Mhm.
So gratitude is no different. And that's why we wanted to kind of toss it out there today to start to say that showing gratitude, using gratitude, actually from an emotional standpoint, can do many different things that are really just good for you. Um,
Right.
if your mood is bad, uh, actually. gratitude can help you with that. If you're feeling stressed, again, because it is an
Yes.
emotional thing, it can also help you alleviate some of that stress. And most people don't build that bridge or make that connection, understanding that gratitude is that type of emotion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, right, right. It's like a muscle, right? Like a muscle. It's
Yes,
something that
it's like a
you
muscle.
gotta build it. You gotta keep doing it and do it when you don't, like I keep saying, when you don't even feel like it, do it. Do it
Yeah,
anyway. Think about it.
right.
What's the good? What's the good? What am I so happy about? What can I be happy about? What is positive in my life? What is going on? What do I have that I wouldn't have if, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's we live in a world today where things can be very cynical.
Mhm.
I think another one of the challenges in our world today is the envy and the jealousy and the greed and many other things. I mean, they are what they are from a human nature standpoint to a degree. Um,
Right.
but we're driven to be so focused on being competitive and
Mhm.
competing. Um, and I think we lose sight when we start to do that of what's truly important, right? And
Mhm.
then showing and appreciating
Mhm.
those things in our lives that we do have, that because we're looking over the fence going, "Ooh, what's going on there? What do they have? What are they doing?
Right,
Why
right,
don't I have one?" Right?
right.
So there's this jealousy, this envy, this
Mhm.
competition, and we
Mhm.
get so consumed with that we don't take a moment to go, "Wait, but I do have this, and I do have
Mhm.
that, and I have this, and I
Mhm.
should be grateful and appreciative
Right,
for those things," right?
right.
And that we overlook that so much.
Mhm. Or like Brian comes to me and says, "Oh, I got a new Mercedes." I'm like,
Mm, right.
a Mercedes. Well, I got a whatever, right?
Right, 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 right.
Why can't I be happy for Brian? That's a
Exactly,
nice
exactly,
car. Congratulations. Oh, look at it, Why can't I
and
be just happy that I got what I got? Because I'm not walking.
right.
I got a car. I can drive where I wanna go. I don't have to walk or get on the bus or ask somebody for a ride, But I'm
Yep,
talking about, oh,
yep.
he had to have that Mercedes. He couldn't get
So
a
and that's the
gift.
thing. And you're right. You're absolutely right, and that's the thing that people get hung up in, and
Mhm.
they get so focused, so much tunnel
Mm.
vision on,
Mhm.
"I gotta have, I gotta get," as if for whatever reason, they feel like that is how they're judged, and that's how they show their
Yeah.
value.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I know we have talked about a little bit about know your worth, how to go about showing your value,
Mhm.
and understanding that that's not about the material things. It's really
Right.
not.
No,
Um, yeah, and that doesn't matter as much.
it's not.
So getting away from that, getting again the state of mind that
Mhm.
you're in, being able to flip that around, I think is
Mhm.
the key component. Other piece I want to add on it that I did a little bit of reading too, and one of the things I was kind of I would say surprised by because I understand the psychological pieces of gratitude or as an emotion. So we now know that it actually is an emotion and how psychologically that can impact you up or down depending on
Right.
if you're doing it. But one of the things that was also very clear in what I was reading was physically
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
it can actually have physical impacts on you as well. So you're wondering why your health is not good, or you're always getting sick, or people talk about, oh, I'm always getting headaches, whatever it might be. A lot of that can come from the stress and anxiety you're putting on yourself trying to compete, the envy, all those different things,
Mhm.
and not taking that moment to actually look more internal, look at the things that you do
Right.
have around you that you can appreciate. Uh, Transition from now, I know one of the things you had, and we talked briefly, was about the three things. So how about you share a little bit about that?
3 Oh, just the 3 things
Yeah.
only? Because I got several things here.
Start with that and go where you go.
So, the three things, what you can do is you can journal. And while you're journaling, you can write down three things that you're grateful for each day. You can get up and do it in the morning. You can decide to do it in the middle of the day if you want. Getting up and doing it in the morning is easy because the thing about when you get up in the morning, there's not, a lot of things to pull you away if you do it right away when you get up in the morning. Just
Mhm.
do it, write your three things down, and get on with your day. And then you
Right.
can come back to it and remember it midday, maybe later if you feel like you need to, like you're going down that road of envy, resentment.
Mhm.
Maybe something negative happens at work and you're dealing with it, it's hanging on. Okay, well, what are these three things? Remember and exercise. So you're exercising that gratitude muscle.
Absolutely.
Want to keep
So,
going?
the three things I think are important. And one of the other things that I want to bring up is that I kind of mentioned earlier is about if there's people that you have gratitude and appreciation for that are in your life,
Yes.
no matter where that is. Obviously, you want to make that part of your three things, or note who those people are, that you are grateful for and that you appreciate. But then not only do you stop there, you want to let them know. You want to tell them. You want to take
Yes.
some action to say, I appreciate you. And again, like I said a little while ago, it's not about, you don't have to give a specific detail as to what it
Mhm.
is, just letting them know. And it's funny how that changes your psyche,
It
right?
does.
You know,
It does.
it's there's an additional level of, I think, communication and a bond that's built with that person. So that kind of strengthens that piece of it. Psychologically, it puts you just in a different mindset because that gratitude generally brings about a better sense of fulfillment because you now have shown that you have these people in your life that you appreciate and you feel more fulfilled versus having
Mhm.
to look externally. "Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Why
Mhm.
don't I have this?" How about we take that again, that energy and that focus and put it back on the things that we do have? I think that's very important too.
Yes. I have
Yeah.
a friend and I express how much I appreciate my friend at least once a week to them. And
Mhm.
what happens is I feel good when I do that also. It's not
Mhm.
just that person is like, "Oh, thank you." Yeah, they're thank you for telling me that, but at the same time, I feel good because I it's just an emotion that comes up with it, right? I'm like, "I appreciate you. I appreciate you for being that shoulder and never judging me." When you got someone in your life that's a friend and they don't judge you, that is the best thing. You can
It is.
tell them anything because
It
you
is.
know they're not gonna judge you.
Mhm.
Uh, those friends are invaluable.
That's very true. That's very
Mhm.
true. So recently, I'll tell a little story. Recently, I watched a movie. It's a documentary more than a movie, um, and the name of it is "I Am," and it's
Mhm.
on the regular YouTube's and Netflix and Amazon, different places. And basically, the gist of it is it's about a Hollywood director who directed several um, blockbuster movies. He pretty much anything that the whole Ace Ventura and um, all of the stuff that Jim Carrey did, especially early in his career. He was the director for all of that. So, Liar, Liar, and just all those different movies. So very successful, and it was fairly young when he was doing that, directing these movies. And then he ended up having a accident, and which brought him to a near death experience. And
Oh,
coming out of the other side of that, he realized that he was focused on the wrong things, because he had obviously he was making great money and those kinds of things. So he's like, do I really need 5 houses? Do I really need, all these different things? Because that near life experience shifted his mindset and his priority as to what was important in his life and how to change that to start to show and be appreciative of what he did have versus just going out there and consuming. It's almost like I always compare it to the best analogy I think a lot of people can relate to, especially at our age, is Pac-Man. You know, the game Pac-Man. It's like I gotta keep eating. I gotta keep going, and every little dot that I can consume, that's my objective, right? And really, it's not. That's not what's necessary. But that movie really brought into perspective when I watched it how he shifted from a person who's strictly consuming to now being a person who's giving back. Because yes, he still has a lot of money. He occasionally will still do a movie, but in it now, everything he's doing profits that go to charity. He's doing this. He sold all of his homes as far as I mean, these big estates are all around the world. He now lives in a mobile home community in
Wow.
Malibu. He could afford to live anywhere in the world, right? He's teaching school at a university, Pepperdine, I believe, and to share his story and his skill and all those different things. But he refuses to let them pay him. He's like, I'm going to teach because that's my way of giving back. So he's not taking a salary for being a professor at the college, those kinds of things. So it really just shifted completely how he approached the world, having that near death experience. And
Wow.
hopefully, none of us have to have something like that happen, right? But I bring that up to say, um, that's where we need to try to get more towards, not just being consumers and buy, get. The more I have, the more I have, the more I have, but giving back and showing that you do have care and concern and appreciation for those that are around you and the world
Mhm.
in general. So I wanted
Yeah.
to kind of share that.
Yes, and when you give how you give and, if you feel like you wanna share with others, you do. We're not saying go give up your job and
No, no, that is not what we're
but
saying.
but if you do, we definitely wanna know about it. If you give it up and go do something where you're giving back, yeah, tell us about
Yeah.
it. We wanna talk about it.
'Cause that brings that question up, because he mentions it in the movie. It's like, the old, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And
Mhm.
the answer in his mind is, "Yeah, I am my brother's keeper," so whatever I can do to, help society in general as a whole, that's my mission, and that's what I intend to do, right?
Right.
So just it was just very interesting from that standpoint how it all he transitioned his life from and literally walked away from Hollywood and some different things like that, so,
That's
what
right.
else you wanna.
Well, we have comments, but they're not in there for some reason. I thought, well, they were gonna be coming in, but you're right, Renee. Value is in the quality of life, not the quantity. You're right. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely in the because we hear that all the time, quality versus quantity, right?
Yeah.
And he in the movie, and I keep going back to it because there's one scene he specifically shows is where he bought this fabulous property. I mean, it's like 7 acres and tennis courts, swimming pools, and just this fabulous property. And he actually shows a scene where it's the day the movers finish moving everything into the house. Because you got to remember, he was a director, so he kind of films almost everything in his life because he's just a natural thing that he did. And you can hear him talking, and the movers walk out of the front door and close the door. There's no one else in the home at the moment but him. He's by himself and he's got this long shot kind of looking from up the stairs and double stairways out toward the front door. And he says, in that moment, I realized something. He says, I bought this house, he says, and the thing that I thought it would give me, it didn't. He said, it
No.
made me no happier,
Yeah.
right? Buying this bigger house. And he
Mhm.
says, it was so just in his mind, it was like, I expected that in that moment, I would just have a different mindset,
Mhm.
about it. He goes, "It changed nothing, it's except
Mhm.
I spent more money," he says, "but as far as my internal happiness, my internal
Mhm.
satisfaction," said,
Isn't
it
that
didn't make a
funny?
difference." Yeah,
Isn't that funny how you can have all the things you want? Kinda goes back to what Renee was saying. You can have all the things you want, but you can still be unhappy. There's more to life than, you know, material things.
yeah, yeah. It absolutely is. So, and that's why we wanted to bring this up and talk about it today from a gratitude, just showing appreciation standpoint. The other thing too that I think and again, it's not everybody because we make a lot of blanket statements on here because
Yeah, we do.
we we do. We do. Um, we're guilty of that. And
Yeah.
one of the ones that I want to bring up right now is, and again, I know it doesn't apply to everybody, but when you are showing gratitude, when you are showing appreciation, we're trying to get to um, that state of mind where that's where you are, and you're putting it out there. You're telling people how much you appreciate them.
Mhm.
You're sharing. You're doing. Don't do it expecting a return,
Oh,
right? And that's, I think, the hardest thing for some people because they kind of expect if I do, you do kind of thing.
mhm.
That's not true gratitude. That's not true appreciation,
No,
right?
no.
If you are doing something and then expecting something in return, that is not showing gratitude,
Right, right, right,
you
right.
know. And I wanted to bring that point up too because I think it's very important that we realize that um, to truly show appreciation, to truly show that you have gratitude for someone or a
Mhm.
situation or whatever it might be, you share that with
Right.
no expectation of getting something in
Mhm.
return. That's
And
that's truly. Go
I
ahead.
think it's hard to that it would be difficult to even have that feeling of feeling good about, expressing that to someone if you're expecting something in return, that
Right.
you may not experience that feeling of, "That felt good to tell them that," or to share that information because
Mhm,
you waiting for something to come back, right?
mhm.
Give me my thank you," you know? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. I don't
and
know. I I'm not a psychologist, but I just think it would be that if you were expecting something, it would be hard to experience that good feeling.
right, right, and again, sharing and expressing, I think, is the most important part of it. And if there's any way that we feel that a lot of us can start to, especially what's happening in our world today, we're still adjusting. Obviously, COVID was kind of a reset button for a lot of us on a lot of different levels, whether it's career wise, relationship wise, because it puts you into a space and into places we've never really been before. And initially, we thought it was going to be for a few months. It turned out to be a year and a half, right?
Yeah. It's not done.
So and not done, right?
Right.
Um, so we are now trying to exist in a way and in a world where we haven't had to do before. And so we're still kind of figuring
Mhm.
out what all of that is. So now is probably a really good time to really start to think about what are some of the things that I have in my life that I truly appreciate, that I truly have gratitude for. And if it's people, let them know. If it's situations, jobs, whatever, show that you appreciate having those things because it's really going to help with your mindset. It's going to help with the stresses that you may have because of the changes that have gone on in the world and in your life, um, and just generally boost happiness. Right. That's the main thing is to try to get to that state of mind where you can be content and to be happy.
Mhm.
Uh, and content is a big word when we talk about this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we bounced back in so many ways, and we changed the ways that we do things, right?
Right.
We just modified what we were doing and did the best we could, but at the same time, we were thrown in some situations. I wasn't in my home, but some of y'all were thrown in some situations where you were with your spouse, your kids all day, more than you had been. You really had to change some things, how you dealt with some of your family members, I'm sure. And some of the
Hmm.
situations were really stressful, I'm sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
So gratitude could have really helped you then. If you weren't using it, start now. Start getting
Yeah.
used to it.
Start getting used to it. Yeah.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Renee. Yeah, start using it, and it will. I'm telling you, it's such a good feeling. And as you, like I said, as you exercise that muscle, it becomes more regular, where you could just it just comes up. You're grateful. You're happy about. Okay, yeah, this is screwed up, but I learned something from this,
Hmm.
or I gained this from that. So it just becomes a natural habit.
It
But
does.
so my things I was supposed to be telling you, Brian took two of them. One was the writing the notes to others,
Yes.
and then and so they're going to see, or you can tell them verbally. um, think about who inspired you and what about them was most significant. And so that's
Mm,
kind of part of that. You're going to, when you're telling them, you kind of know what's most significant. Like I said earlier, not
mhm,
judging me. I can tell you anything because you're not judging me. And I don't shrink because I'm afraid to tell you or anybody else whatever. I can just
right.
tell you because you
Mhm,
are not getting ready to judge me. I love that about friends.
mhm,
And then the last one that I didn't, neither of us have said, I hinted to it though, was engage in mental subtraction. Now, this stuff came from Psychology Today, but
mhm,
engage in mental subtraction. That is when you imagine your life, what your life would be like if some significant event that was positive or whatever hadn't happened, had
mm,
not occurred. Like for
mhm.
me, I'd say if I had not joined the Air Force, well, a
Where
lot
would
of
your life
stuff
have gone?
yeah,
Yeah,
where would it be? A lot of
right,
stuff would be different.
right.
But you know what? At the same time, because I've been practicing gratitude for so long, it's hard for me to subtract anything from my life and say, what would my life be? Because I'm a survivor. And I know
Mm,
that I would be doing something else that I enjoy, or maybe I don't enjoy, and still surviving and doing what
right.
I need to do and grateful for, the fact that I'm surviving. So, it's hard for me to do that, but that is something you can do, subtract that significant thing. It's just a difficult one for me, but yeah, subtract
Yeah.
that significant event and see where you end up, and you'll think about, "Oh, wow, if I didn't enjoy the Air Force, I wouldn't have the benefits I have right now."
Mhm, mhm. Right,
That's my
right,
positive, my gratitude.
right,
I'm
right,
grateful for the benefits that I have because and that I don't have to struggle in that way because I've got extra benefits that I wouldn't
right,
have. So,
right.
there's
You know,
mine.
and that's a really good one too, because that one of the things I believe in, and because you don't get do overs, right? Life is a
Right.
series of choices, and you choose, and you go down that road. You don't have the ability to go, wait, hold on, rewind. I want to choose the other path. Um, and sometimes you think that the other path might have been better for you,
Yeah.
but it might not, right?
Yeah,
So,
you
but
don't know.
all you can do is choose and take the path that you go down.
Mhm. Right.
But I'm a big believer in you are where you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
And because whatever the choices, whatever has happened or transpired in your individual life, those decisions, those choices, the, the shape of the world has brought you to that point. The What I want to say there is this: you are where you're supposed to be. The most important piece, though, is you are in control of what you do next.
Yeah.
Right. And then how you approach that. What attitude do you take with it? Are you going to approach that from being, as you said, the negative Nancy and blah, blah, blah? You're going to tear everybody down? Or are you going to be a person that's going to give to the world and be positive and try to help others and those kinds of things? And and don't get me wrong, we all have tough days, tough months, tough years sometimes as far as the things life throws at us,
Right,
right?
right,
It's not all going to be sunshine and roses. We all know that, right? But that doesn't stop us
right,
from picking ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and
right.
try to move forward in a positive and productive way, right?
And Brian, can you come back to us on screen, please?
Yep, I can.
Thank you.
All right.
Uh, yep,
Yeah.
better, not bitter. Thankful. That's Renee.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Renee, for participating. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody who's sharing, thank you for your comments. So that's the key. I think we just all need to, where we can, and we did an episode not too long ago talking about taking a step back. Remember?
Yes,
And this
yes.
is a good way to even think about that,
Hmm.
because this is part of that whole journey. Take that moment, take a heartbeat, take a step back, do an assessment, reassess some things, and then come out of that hopefully with a different state of mind, uh, ready to show more appreciation, more gratitude, to move forward in ways that are going to have a more positive impact, not
Right.
only on yourself but those around you.
Yeah.
and whatever that means to you and your circle, because it's different for everybody. That's the thing. We
Mhm.
we can't sit here and say what's going to be best for every person because
Right.
each situation is going to be different. But what we can say is that if you want to reduce some of the stress in your life, improve your general overall mood, get away from the toxic things, the toxic behaviors that may be out there, cynicisms, envy,
Yeah.
all those kinds of things. This is the place to start.
Because if you wanna find it, it's there. The
Oh, it's
negative,
not
the
going anywhere.
cynicism, it's there, there's plenty of it out there, right? You
Right,
don't have to look too hard to find it,
right,
but it doesn't always feel good. Then you run
correct.
across something that, may hit that
Yeah,
trigger for you, and when it
yeah,
does, then you're like, "Ah." Then you got a little bit of that negative feeling about yourself because you know how they're saying how Instagram making teens feel bad, but grown-ups do the same thing. You see things that hit home and, you maybe weren't ready for it at that minute,
yeah,
ready to deal with it at that moment,
yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, we can all see things that make us think about us ourselves in negative ways,
yeah.
but gratitude is the way to go.
It is. It is. And the last thing I want to go back to from that standpoint is just a little caveat from the movie that I was talking about. He does a little section where he's talking about again being your brother's keeper for the most part, and he's showing essentially taking the camera and he's panning from literally kind of one side of the street to the other, right? And on when he pans this way, there is a Beverly Hills mansion essentially here,
Yeah.
and he pans, 180 degrees to a corner, and there's a homeless person lying in the street, and he
Mhm.
says, what's wrong with this picture, right? How,
Right.
if we are our brother's keeper, how can we have these types of inequities happen and be the norm, and then also just be accepted, right? It was
Yeah.
kind of his point.
And
So
we get that a lot here, right?
yeah,
In Hawaii, because this is paradise. It's beautiful, and it's not necessarily a mansion, but it's beautiful, and we driving by it, seeing it every day, right?
right,
There's more
right.
going on there too, so
Yeah, it
yeah,
is. There's a lot more going on that. So just again, and that's why we have to stop and say, yeah, I might not have the mansion,
right.
but the things that I do have, I certainly should be more appreciative and not
Mhm.
envious of the guy who has the mansion, and just appreciate the things that I do have because it could be a lot worse. You
Right,
know, yeah, you can certainly be in a lot worse position. So just showing that gratitude and appreciation, I think, is a
right.
an important thing. So last thing we want to do before we wrap up today is I want to transition this a little bit, Mina, to
Wait, 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 I got something to say about this still before you
okay, go ahead.
transition. I there are a couple things I didn't say that I had taken notes I wanted to say. So when you practice gratitude, it's an emancipation of goodness and warmth. So you're freeing your goodness and warmth. And that is exactly what I know I sound so passionate about this, but that is exactly what it feels like.
It does.
You go and you tell your friend how you appreciate them, and I'm telling you that goodness and that warmth comes over your body. They don't have any clue. It could be by text, it could be by phone, it could be face to face, but when you do it, you feel good.
You do feel
Um,
good.
yeah, and then, when you practice it, like I said, um, the part of your because we didn't I don't think we said this, but the part of your brain that is stimulated from you practicing gratitude, it is more sensitive to more experiences of that once you do it. So that's why I'm saying it's like a muscle. You keep doing it, and it gets easier, and then you will be able to just flow with it like it's
Hmm.
nothing.
Hmm.
But that
Hmm.
was the two things I didn't say that I meant to say.
Thank you. No, you're absolutely right. The muscle memory piece of it is true because it actually, because it is an emotion, it
Mhm.
impacts some of the chemicals in the body, how the brain reacts, and you can essentially use gratitude and
Yeah.
appreciation to physically physiology from a
Mhm.
physiology. Can't even say the word today. Anyway, from that standpoint,
Physiological.
thank you.
You're
Too many
welcome.
alphabets for me. today
Yeah.
anyway. I haven't had enough coffee. Um, so physically change the chemistry of your body though, so
Yeah.
that it puts you in a different state,
Right.
and that's the goal and that's the objective, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's also a temporary feeling, so that's why I keep stressing that doing it again and again because
Again,
it's a temporary feeling, and so you wanna keep experiencing that, you gotta keep doing it.
keep doing it. Yep, yep, absolutely right. So the last thing I want to transition to is to kind of bring this back home to who we are from a VoV network standpoint. And what I mean there is more specific to relationships, right?
Mm. You and me?
And
Who we are? Or VOV?
VoV.
Ah, gotcha.
Jokey joke.
It's live,
All
you
right.
can't cut it.
So from a VoV standpoint, obviously, relationships are our focus. And, so really wanted to just kind of wrap this up, bringing this back into that realm to say if you have a significant other, you're a long-term marriage, just dating, whatever it might be, um, this can go a long, long, long way
Okay.
in helping stand that relationship up, helping.
Did you
Um,
say
yeah, I know it slipped out right. They're gonna edit that out, right? No, they won't. It's live. So anyway, uh, hey, and some people do call it that, by the way. And then
Yeah, yeah.
but it will go a long way from that standpoint to help with your relationship to show appreciation for your partner. Um, just and again, it doesn't have to be specific things, just in general. How you share and how you go about building those bridges is going to make a big difference in a
Yeah.
relationship, I think.
And I actually heard from an expert because I attend his little lessons or classes or whatever that ladies that are interested in men, I heard men love this. So from his uh, videos, I heard that. I don't if it's true, but men love it. So try it out.
Men love what
The
the
gratitude they like to, they like to hear how you appreciate them in your relationship.
It's well, yeah, and then I will say from my side of it, yeah, and we absolutely do. And I think
Mhm,
we touched on this in one of our previous episodes about that's one of the things that was not being shared from a woman to a man standpoint
mhm.
is the appreciation for, like, when I think we were talking about something as simple as taking out the trash.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a known, yeah, it's your duty, yeah,
Yeah,
no
we
big
did
thing,
talk
right?
about that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but every now and then it's, honey, thank you for taking out the trash, and that goes a long way because it shows that A, you appreciate them, B, you're paying attention, that it matters to you. All of that from a mental and psychological standpoint plays a big role in those types of relationships. So that's the last piece I wanted to just bring this back to from a true dating, significant other, marriage type scenarios. Uh, don't lose sight of that, especially as time goes by, right? Because
Mm,
that's when we get into that routine. We start taking the other person for granted, all those different things, and you fall into that trap. And then you wonder why you're not getting out of it what you used to, or why you're not feeling a certain way. But then that's when you have to back up and do, as we talked about a minute ago, maybe take a step back and assess, am I putting into it like I used to? Right? Because it is a two-way street, right?
yeah, on both sides, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm,
in both directions.
mhm.
So I think that's a very important thing. What else you got? Last things, last
Uh,
thoughts?
I'm good, that's it. You can do what you were gonna do. You were gonna transition to something.
We just did it. We were talking
Oh, we
about
did?
relationships.
Oh, that was the transition.
Where
Sorry.
have you been, woman?
I've been
See,
watching, making sure we don't miss any comments. I'm
typical thing with
sorry.
men and women, right? The woman never listens to us, right? I understand. Yeah.
Well, you were going on and on. I was like, let me check this and make sure I didn't miss any comments. Sorry.
Whatever. All right. So that's kind of the end of our episode for today. We wanted to bring this up, really talking about it is a state of mind, and understanding what that means is showing the gratitude, appreciation, happiness, and fulfillment is a state of mind that we need to all strive to try to get to. And you do that by actually giving, not by buying or spending or and those types of things, because that's not going to get you there. What it's funny because I think of a term that I saw in a movie years ago, a different movie, and people always talk about money can't buy happiness, right? Which we all tend to know to be true. And the one line in this movie says, "No, money can't buy happiness, but it can help me suffer in a better zip code," which may be true, right? Because
Buy
if you
me
can
some
suffer, you
food,
might as well
though.
suffer in Beverly Hills or Malibu or something, I guess. But
Yeah, right?
but still, it can't buy you happiness. You're still suffering.
No, no, it
So
really can't.
taking the time, showing appreciation to others, showing appreciation for life, showing appreciation even for yourself. What I mean by that is taking care of your health, eating
Mm,
right, all
mhm.
those different types of things. That's all appreciating not only yourself, but the
Yep,
others and those that are around you are going to make a
yep,
huge difference, I think, in getting to that space in where you are in a state of mind where you can truly feel more fulfilled and be happier. Uh,
right. Quality
that's
of
what we want.
life, right?
Quality of life, quality versus quantity, quality
Mhm.
versus quantity,
That's Renee.
right?
Yeah,
So that's it for today. If you got value out of this, please definitely like this video, share if you know some other people who may benefit from seeing it. Definitely share a link to it so they can check it out. And then visit our YouTube channel. And while you're there, subscribe. So each week you
please.
can get notifications and those kinds of things when we do update. Like Tuesday, we'll have a new episode coming out. So you'll get a notice for that when that comes out. So
Right.
final thoughts. Say goodbye to everybody. What do you got?
I appreciate all the friends and family. I noticed Ron was on there. Thank you, Ron, for watching. Um, and I know Patricia's there because she's always there. Thank you, Patricia. But thank you, family and friends, for supporting us. We love you.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Thank you for joining us here live. We look forward to our next unscripted session, which will be uploaded on next week, Tuesday. So
Right.
look for us there. And until then, take care. Stay safe.
Thanks, Christopher. Take care. Bye.
Bye now.
Aloha.